Hey everyone, John O'Sullivan here, author of Changing the Game, the Parent's Guide to Raising Happy, High-Performing Athletes and Giving Youth Sports Back to Our Kids, and the founder of the Changing the Game project. And what I want to talk about today is instilling a positive mindset in your athletes. Now, as I travel around the country and give talks, and as I get feedback from people who have read my book or heard some of my talks, I get asked a lot, well, how do I recognize the mindset of my athlete, and how do I go about changing that in order to make it a positive one? So in this short video, what I want to teach you is not only what a positive growth-oriented mindset is, but how to recognize and, if needed, change the mindset both in your athletes and in yourself so that your children can perform better. So let's get started. Now, the concept of mindset was coined by Dr. Dweck, and she's a Stanford University psychologist, and for the past 30 years has been studying mindset and its effect on performance and motivation. And what Dr. Dweck has found is fascinating, that people fall into two categories of mindset, a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Now, fixed mindset individuals are very results-oriented. And so they see everything they do, every achievement, activity, or every performance as an indicator of their unchangeable innate ability. So for instance, if your son or your daughter doesn't do well on a math test and they have a fixed mindset, they might say, I failed my math test, I'm not good at math. And they might say, I got cut from my soccer team, I'm not good at sports. For fixed mindset individuals, effort is meaningless because you either are or you aren't. Why try hard if you're smart? Why try hard if you're athletic? And when your abilities are fixed in your mind, that's really a recipe for average performance. On the other hand, Dweck has identified the second mindset as a growth mindset, a process-oriented mindset, where effort is everything. Now, an athlete that has a growth mindset might say, I got cut from my soccer team, I need to practice harder. The student might say, I failed my math test, I need to study more. For a growth mindset individual, anything can be learned, and this is a recipe for high performance. Now, one of the fascinating things that neuroscience has showed us is that brain scans show that a brain in a fixed mindset becomes most active when it's receiving information about ability or performance, such as a grade or a score. Whereas a growth mindset brain becomes most active when receiving information about what they could do better. So in other words, a fixed mindset brain is very interested in how you are judged, and a growth mindset brain is very active and interested in the process of learning. So if we want our children to perform their best, we need to instill this growth, high performance mindset in our kids. But how do we do that? Well, if we want to change a mindset, we have to follow a certain process according to Dweck. And one of the things that is incredibly important to recognize straight off the bat is, are we, as moms and dads or coaches, unintentionally introducing a fixed mindset in our kids? Now, of course, we don't mean to do this, but we often do it unintentionally by praising our athletes' ability instead of their effort. So if you find yourself saying, wow, you're a great soccer player, you scored 3 goals today, you're focusing on their ability. If you say, wow, you're a great student, you got another A in math, you're focusing on their ability and not the process. Now, kids whose parents put pressure on them to achieve actually have higher rates of anxiety and depression and substance abuse and more. And those parents who focus on success often raise unsuccessful kids. Now, this seems counterintuitive, but this is what science shows us. So when we praise our kids, it's incredibly important that we focus on the process and we focus on the effort. And we say to them, you played great today. You've been working really hard. You've been practicing a lot. Congratulations on getting an A in math. I see how much you've been studying and it's paid off. We focus on their effort instead of their ability, and we introduce a growth mindset for our kids. So what can we do as moms and dads to help instill this growth mindset? Well, first, we really have to learn to hear the fixed mindset voice, not only in our children, but in ourselves and how we talk to our kids. So as I mentioned before, if you hear your son or your daughter saying things like, I'm not good at math or I'm not good at sports, this is a very fixed mindset approach. And what happens is they don't see anything as a result of effort and application. They see it as innate, unchangeable ability. So we have to learn to hear that. And again, we also have to learn to hear the fixed mindset voice when we're praising our kids. And when we think we're building their esteem by telling them that they're a great athlete or they're a great student or they're a great artist, we may actually be negatively influence them. Once we learn to hear our mindset voice, Dweck encourages us to recognize that voice and to remind our children that they have a choice of which voice they're going to hear, and to remind them about effort and not ability. And once we recognize what voice we're speaking in or what voice we're hearing, how do we confront it? And so what Dweck recommends is that when we're asking ourselves a question that's performance related, we work hard to answer with our growth voice. So for instance, if your son or your daughter is questioning, do I have talent? We have to help them answer, I can be good if I work hard. And if they're saying, well, what if I fail? We have to make sure they understand that the most successful people fail the most. And that failure is part of the process of learning, and it's actually a necessary component of learning. And if we find our children asking, well, why even try? We need to make sure that they understand that not trying is actually failing. And once we do this, Dweck advises us to make sure that we adopt the growth mindset, adopt the growth voice. The dominant voice is our choice and it's our kids' choice, so we need to choose wisely. And by following this process, by listening for what voice we speak in when it comes to sports or school or relationships, and then answering that voice in a growth-oriented way and adopting that growth mindset, that's how our kids perform better, and that's how we help them change their mindset in sports. Now, as a coach, I've worked with many, many players, and what I found is that players with a growth mindset love to be coached because their brain is active and they're focused on how can I get better, how can I learn. And players with a fixed mindset often are reluctant to be coached, and they put their head down and they walk away and they don't want to listen, because when you're telling them, I think you could do this better by doing this, they're hearing, you're not good enough. I had faith in you and you've let me down because I thought you were great. And so it's important as coaches and it's important as parents that we recognize this voice in our kids and the mindset in our kids, and then we help them adopt a growth mindset. So where do we go from here? If you want to learn more about mindset, I recommend going straight to the source, and that is mindsetonline.com, which is Dr. Carol Dweck's website. And I think her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, is an essential tool for any coach or any parent, and part of your library, it has to be. So I hope you enjoyed the little video here, and good luck working with your own kids and your own athletes in adopting a growth mindset. And if you have any questions or comments, I hope you'll post them below and add to the discussion here and maybe give me some more ideas for future videos. Thanks very much.